Hey, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Sunday Stack. You probably noticed that today we're using a red outline because things have not gone according to plan. And that's just reality, right? Like, one of the things you've got to get used to is being able to pivot and being able to understand that things change. Now, whenever I do these kind of things, people come up to me and go, Brown Gent, you were bullish. You said we were going to, go to 3,300 on Ethereum last week, and now you flipped. Oh my God. And by the way, just so you know, guys, I didn't flip. This is just sort of where we are with the topics I'm going to go to. But you have to be able to flip, because if information changes and you don't pivot, then you're a retard. That's just the reality. Only stupid people are like, well, 6 months ago he said this and everything changed, but oh my God, he changed his mind. The smartest people are able to adapt to new information. Please do not just be stuck in one way, because it may work out for you for a short period of time, but it won't. Long term, it will not. So you have to be ready for that. Now, with that being said, I am not bearish. I'm still very bullish. I'm going to talk about what's happening, what's going on, what I'm doing, and I have some topics for you guys. As always, welcome, Sunday Stack. Looks like this is the name it's going to be, because for the most part, people didn't really submit any serious names, so I saw nothing that was substantial. We'll keep it this way for now. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you're on X, if you're on YouTube, live videos don't do too well. So if you want to see these often, like once a week, you like this stuff, show me that you actually care about it. It's really not much to ask for. If you haven't subscribed, do so as well. That helps me as well. And also share the video with somebody you know, because I know a lot of people in crypto. And the reason I'm doing this is there's so much bad info out there. So many people who don't care about you. Guys, my channel isn't even monetized anymore. Like, you shouldn't be seeing ads, I think, but at the end of the day, ever since I moved to Dubai, my channel has not been monetized. I get $0 for every video that I make. So make sure that if you can, share the video. Why? Because there are lots of people out there who get information from terrible sources, or they get information way too late. I'm going to go through a very good example with virtuals later tonight, but I just want you guys to know I'm here to make sure you guys get the information that you need to have, not necessarily the information that you want, because sometimes I'm going to tell you things that you are unhappy with. Case in point, you guys remember in February, I told you I de-risked my Ethereum. I told you why. Everything I said was going to happen happened. And if you listened, you basically got to double your Ethereum bag, right? Now, with that being said, if you want extra coaching, guidance, and support, I get a ton of people who ask me, oh, are you going to make an update video on X, Y, Z? I'll be honest with you, the priority is always to make sure the members of the Web3 Secret Society are updated. And then whenever I get a chance to make the video, I will. But a lot of you seem to think that, oh, I'm going to drop everything to make sure that I can make a video for you guys, which is just not reality. I just don't have the time to do that. So if you want extra coaching, guidance, support, you want stuff right away, you want to make sure you're on top of all the big airdrops, all the sort of things like curated for you, that's all in our private Discord. Or if you want a planned sort of video call, all that stuff is linked down below. So today's topics, I want to go through the market update, tell you exactly what's going on. I'm going to talk to you about the impact of this potential war, which I live in Dubai. Iran is literally across the street. Like, I can, across the water, it's right there. So I'm hoping that things don't really go crazy, because I don't really know how far that sort of radius is and whatever. I'm also going to talk to you about why I left virtuals. I've exited it. And I'm going to sort of tell you, I'm not fully exited, but I've exited the risk. And I'm going to sort of share with you how you can sort of monopolize or take advantage of what's going on. And I'm going to be making a more in-depth video to update the blueprint when my thumbnail guy gets done with that stuff. Also, I'm going to talk to you about what I'm farming and what my biggest focuses are, and then I'm going to answer your questions. Guys, What really pisses me off, I'll be honest, I'm here to help people, but obviously to help people, I need reach. And what doesn't help with reach is long videos. So if you ask me questions about some non-related topic on a live video, like I rarely do live videos outside live streams for that exact reason, because people go, oh, I don't care to join his private community, or I don't care to ask him on Twitter, or I don't care to wait until his weekly video. I'm going to get the information right now because I'm so important. And that's just not the case. I am going to ignore every question that comes on a live video that is not related to the topic at hand or not related to sort of our Sunday stack. So if you are on a video and you're like, why is the brown jet not responding? That's why, okay? So let's get started with the market update, okay? So just taking a look over here, in the last 10 minutes, Ethereum has basically dropped about $20. What's new? Ethereum going down. That seems like everything is a-okay. Obviously, as I always mention, Bitcoin is sort of our North Star. I'm going to go through Bitcoin's price action recently. Nothing to be concerned about. We were like 112K about a week and a half ago. Ethereum was like 2,800 actually last Friday, I think, or last Thursday, and then it sort of nuked. I use the word nuke because there are threats of nukes. We're going to talk about that. XRP has been underperforming. It hasn't really done well at all. Solana has been the best underperformer, and basically, or it overperforms to the downside. I have been shorting Sol all the way from 160 something, 163, and I sold most of my Sol at 170. This is not a token I will be holding in the future, just because I just think there are way better things. And if I'm farming Solana, I will be borrowing Solana, as my friend Kate XBT actually recommended doing so, instead of actually owning the token, just because it's kind of like not really worth it. Now, let's get into sort of the market. So obviously, I tell you guys, you do not want to be buying in the greed or extreme greed. One of the biggest mistakes that I think a lot of people make is they see things going up. And it's normal, right? Like, you don't want to buy Bitcoin at 50K, but oh my God, it's 80K, it's time to buy. Because you get comfort seeing a lot of strength. And also there's a bit of FOMO going, well, it's at 80,000, maybe it's going to 90,000, maybe it's going to 100,000 and whatever. And sometimes you can do everything wrong and still win. So it reinforces that bad behavior. What I want you to start doing, if you haven't done already, make an oath to yourself, your future self, that you will not buy any crypto in a substantial amount unless you are in the neutral or extreme fear area. People who end up buying in green, you can see what happens. You may have a short period of time, but then it comes back down, right? You want to make sure you maximize your best entries. And the reason you want to do that is because when you have times like this, times where there may be some market uncertainty, times when the market makers are literally trying to pull at your heartstrings and make you feel like it's over, you want to make sure that you've got a very good price. So you're not down like 20, 30, 40, 70%. Because if you got in at like Ethereum here at 1,300, we went to 2,800, right? So if you bought with me at between 13 and 1,700, we got 2,800 and it pulls back to 25. You're like, this is nothing. We were at 1,300. You got an amazing entry. You got an entry at 1,600, right? The problem is a lot of people, let's just use Ethereum as an example. I'm going to sort of go through this exact area because this is the area that we used to talk about in the Ask Me Anything. So for those of you who don't remember, this period of time when we talked about, I forget the guy's name, but we had those candles up and down when Eric Trump said, hey, buy ETH, thank me later. I think that was right here on this candle. And then besides that, we had like the sort of tariff on, tariff off, the digital asset reserve and everything. And I was told, oh my God, Brown Jet, you're so wrong. Well, look, this changes everything, right? And what happened? I exited my position on this day. On this candle, I was out, right? Let's just make sure, get some marker here. So right here, okay? This is where I exited. Went down, went back up. People, oh, Brown Jet, you're going to be sidelined. And then what happened? It nuked. And I know a lot of people who chose not to de-risk here, but then we come down here And then they start de-risking. Okay, now's the time. Oh, I'm gonna de-risk here, or I'm gonna de-risk here, right? Like look at this red candle, like worried. And what happens? Oh well, he starts rallying. I get told it's dead, right? Remember, the same people who were telling me that I was an idiot for selling here were then telling me I was a retard for buying here, right? But that was the plan. The plan literally was, we buy at 2100, we buy at 1600, right? Went down to like 1370 or whatever. I didn't buy there. I bought it at like 1400. It didn't matter. And then it was going up. No, that's just cope. It's just a sort of bounce. And then what happened? Surprise. They buy here. And now what's going to happen, right? They're probably going to jump. If it comes down here, which I wouldn't be surprised if the market sends down first and then goes up. What happens? Well, we get something like this, right? And these people will have exited. And this is how the market makers play. At the end of the day, news is news, but news is sort of going to help the market makers make the plays they want to do, right? At the end of the day, we have no idea what news is coming, but we know there's going to be a breakout soon. And before the breakout, the market makers want to shake people out, then send it. Why? Because they will end up selling low and then buying back high again, like some of those fools did on this move. I hope this makes a lot of sense to you guys, okay? So that is sort of Ethereum, okay? When we look at Bitcoin, a lot of people are like, oh my God, if you guys remember my early airdrop videos in November, December, you can literally go watch them. They're still around. They're in the video section. The amount of people who told me that I was an idiot for buying Bitcoin, I wasn't buying alts, and I was buying Bitcoin at 15,000, 20,000, 25,000, right? I didn't sell any Bitcoin until we got to in the 90s, right? But look at the move we've had. Comparatively, people who bought altcoins here are still down. Altcoins have done horribly. They've done so bad, with the exception of a few outperformers, right? Solana went from around $20, $30 to 100, 270 at one point, right? But most of them have done a really, really poor job. Bitcoin continues to be the number one asset in this space to invest in. And whenever I hear somebody argue with me, listen, the reality is I don't even try to argue with them. I go, yeah, okay, go ahead. And then what happens? Somehow 2 years later, there'll be a maxi. They'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm only buying Bitcoin. People go from I hate Bitcoin, I'm never going to get rich, or I'm never going to make money off Bitcoin, to it's the only thing I buy. And the real answer is somewhere in between, right? What you want to do, as always, is take a look at Bitcoin's price action, right? So once again, the weekly chart on Bitcoin, looking at the EMA 50, right? So right now, until Bitcoin goes below 84 or 85,000, basically, I'm secure in my Bitcoin position. Once it breaks that and closes below that on the weekly, then we're in trouble. Because like I've always reminded you, while the Bitcoin chart, the weekly chart, has stayed above the EMA 50, guess what happens? We're in a bull market. Just take a look. You can literally back test this completely. So while we're here right now, I still think Bitcoin climbs higher. In fact, I believe that if we didn't have what we had on Friday with the potential war, the potential conflict, we would be on our way to 125, right? I still think that's coming. I'm going to explain sort of all of this there, okay? And then comparatively, Solana has just sort of shit the bed, right? Solana is one of those tokens after the Trump launch right here, right? We literally just have been going down, with the exception of this one bounce, which, if you guys remember, I said short here, short at 190. We basically got that, and this has been a fantastic short position all the way through. Now, I do think that Solana does bounce, probably goes to 165, and then likely comes back down, right? So if we see this, it's likely this. Something like that. Then I don't know what happens here, but I'm not interested. This is sort of what I think is going to happen. I hope that makes sense. So from a market perspective, I don't think there's anything to be worried about. In fact, the impact of the war, I just want to go through this. I don't really want to get into who's right, who's wrong. That's probably my biggest pet peeve, is some people believing that I need to have an opinion one way or another on this conflict. I'm going to say nothing. I don't want to be involved. I just want peace. At the end of the day, there's missiles sort of flying back and forth, regardless of who they're hitting or whatever, right? The reality is, all this stuff, we're seeing the first couple times this was being announced, the market was fearful. The market started like nuking. Then every consequent day, right? What's happened, every subsequent day, not consequent, every subsequent day that this has come out, nothing's really happened. Are they going to have a missile? Are they not? Are they going to attack? Are they not? Nothing has really changed. So what that should tell you is if the market is not selling off here, we're going to see it in stocks tomorrow that it likely should be very stable. And if that is the case, right, if that is the case, unless there's some massive escalation, like some other countries joining the conflict or something else, this is effectively priced in and we send higher. I hope that sort of makes sense. There's nothing really to worry about unless something crazier happens. And I really hope it doesn't happen. For the sake of our bags, I really hope it doesn't happen. But at the same time, I also don't want any sort of issues, right? Like I said, I live literally across the street. I live in Dubai. Across the water is Iran. I don't want any of this, right? And obviously, I don't want people to get hurt. But like I said, if we just sort of see this sort of fade in the background, sort of like, no longer the click-worthy news, we don't really sort of get into the details. And, we should be sending higher, okay? So with that, let's go into why I exited virtuals. So I actually made a post on Twitter earlier today. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you know anything about me, if you've followed me from DeFi Kingdoms, you should know that I can sort of, I can basically get out at the top of these Ponzi's most of the time. DeFi Kingdoms was a token that I sold first around $21, and then I sold around like 15 or something. And then I sold at like 85 cents. These are the three tops, and I was able to buy much lower and get out in profit. I'm gonna see if I can bring up the Jewel coin market cap. The token is currently worth 4 cents. 4 cents. Like, it's absolutely disgusting. And this doesn't actually do enough justice, but you can literally see here, it says 2017 was the highest. The highest was like 25 or something. I got out at 21. Does it show here? Yeah, okay. The highest was 23. I got out at $21. I posted on the channel when I did it. I got a ton of hate from the community. Oh, the brown gent's so short-sighted. He doesn't understand how these things work. He's going to be crying when Jewel's $100 and I'm going to be able to buy it. Oh my God, the brown gent's such a retard. Like all this bullshit, these people. Then what happened? Well, we had another spike here, right? So once again, it doesn't show this, but this was the launch of their Avalanche chain or their Avalanche subnet, Crystal Veil. Went to like $15 or whatever. I sold like somewhere in that range, right? Like, I just like, I'm out, right? Because we got to buy. So, came down and settled. I bought, sold again. And then in like December of 22, I think it was December 22. It doesn't even show it here, does it anymore? Or maybe it was here. December 23, there you go, December 23. It went to like $1 or 80 cents. And I remember telling everyone, I'm breaking my positions, getting out, it's done, whatever. Once again, all three times people didn't listen. Listen, it's not my fault. Now people blame me saying I had insider information and I knew how to get out, but I didn't help people. It's my fault for not being loud enough, Well, so here, I literally did not want to make this post. Why? Because I literally expected people to get pissed. And I'm going to show you why. Here's actually what I sent the web through Secret Society. So here's an example. This post was 3 days ago. I'm going to sort of read it out and sort of explain. So sort of TLDR, what I said here is, I think we're close to the Ponzi being over. Basically, the analogy that I gave them was a poker game where there's a rake, right? So there's a tax. Virtual charges you a 5% tax when you do these sort of flips or trades or whatever. And in this sort of scenario, you have a casino plant that's just donating money. So literally, like, people just sit there and win and win and win. But there's a 5% rake on every single hand. So even some of your money's going down and whatever, but your money's locked up because the moment you leave, you can't ever come back. And when people leave, everyone else's stack gets reduced. So here's the thing. How long can a system like that work, right? Because the money is coming from the closed system, right? And at the end of the day, not everyone can be winners. 6 weeks ago in the Web3 Secret Society, we were talking about the launches, talking about how to get in, how to farm daily active bonus points before the rest of Twitter. The rest of Twitter literally just saw what we were doing, saw the blueprint, and it started just like, it's crazy. You know, what's crazy about this whole thing is so many people will post it, not give credit, and I'm not saying I want credit or whatever, but then someone will be like, oh, so you watch Brown Jet's video? Like, yeah, it was amazing. It was an amazing video. I learned so much. But they're like, yo, look what we did. And whatever, right? And here's the thing. Every one of these things, as I mentioned, is a game. Once it becomes figured out, they get diluted and you got to go to the next thing, right? So first it was yapping points, selling nonstop. Then it was sort of dab, right? There was a lot fewer players, right? Points were easy to come by. Now it's super easy to game the points. Case in point, I created an alternative. I have an alternative Twitter account. I have a second one that I don't tell anyone. And I use it to basically spam and just respond to people's posts about points. Oh, look at all these amazing points you got there. Oh, wow, how many replies did you do, man? And they respond back. Boom, easy. You get like 10 to 12 or 12,000 points a day. I got 11,000 points today. And what happens is those are the posts being prioritized because people aren't smart enough. I don't want to mean this in an insulting way, but a lot of people just don't have the brain power to sit there and think about a thoughtful response to some analytical post instead of just posting fire emoticons or some garbage. So I believe we're racing to the bottom. The people who are doing well are the top engagement farmers and big whale accounts who are monopolizing the majority of the points. On top of that, you got massive inflation. If you take a look at virtuals, right? Let me see if I can find, let me go see if I can check points on one thing and show you guys. So here's a wallet that I'm on cooldown for. Look at the global points right here. Let me bring this up here. Look at the global points distribution. About a week ago, 176 million points. Now, 342 million. It just keeps going up and up and up, which means that your points are being devalued every single day. And we already know they expire every 2 weeks. So now, what was great, yapping points, if you got like 10,000 points last week, it's the same power as 20,000 points this week. So a lot of people just aren't making that connection, if that makes sense. And basically, I believe that there's a lot of people out there who have been posting screenshots of gains. And the only reason that they're in here is because of the downside of jail, which is like you sell your Genesis agents and you go on cooldown where you don't earn any points and you can't get participate and blah, 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 blah. Well, I noticed that a lot of people are unstaking. You look at Whale Intel. Whale Intel is a fantastic dashboard. I use it all the time. You can see here, look at how many people are joining the ecosystem, right? 43,773 wallets. You can see how many new versions show up every single day, right? Today was 281. Yesterday was 657, right? It's pretty crazy the amount of information you get here. You can even see like the points per project that you're getting, right? This is a free dashboard. I love it. So you just use this stuff. It's fantastic. And you can actually see what's worth it, what's not. Let me just go to my launch date. You can see Electra, which I was in. You got like 1.5 cents per point. But most of the point allocations have come down significantly. And I believe it's only going to get worse. So I truly believe that we're sitting on a sort of ticking time bomb here. Eventually it's going to blow up because here's the reality. Nobody wants to be stuck there with their money and watching everyone else sort of sell. So once you start seeing some significant sell pressure, it is literally just going to completely sell off. And once that does, so many people will be pissed and virtuals will go from everybody's a winner to this is the biggest scam because there have to be losers. Look, I was able to take out 6 figures of profit in this ecosystem. Where's that coming from? You know what I'm saying? That's the reality of it. So this is some of the, and by the way, this is some of the insight that you get by being in the Web3 Secret Society. I'm going to prioritize them first, right? And then a couple days later, like today, I posted, you know what? There's lack of marginal buyer on Genesis agents, the virgin point inflation, right? Virtueflation. And honestly, all you got to do is just create multiple Twitter accounts and just post a bunch of slop. And, you don't spam your own timeline. You earn a bunch of points and you dump risk-free. So then you're just extracting from people who are still investing. I literally am not investing any more dollars in this ecosystem because I expect there to be some sort of blow off top. Okay. So that's why I exited virtuals. Now, the next question is, okay, great. So what am I farming? And basically what I'm doing is, especially in these conditions, I'm farming Perpetual Dexs, right? Now, the most famous Perpetual Dex is Hyperlquid. I'm still farming it because I believe that spot and perpetual holdings on Hyperlquid will be a significant contributor to their season 2 airdrop. Obviously, if you look at the sort of Hyperlquid price, we're sitting currently around $40, right? Pretty solid, like one of the best performers of this year. 13 billion market cap, about 10 billion away, or a little, maybe 9 billion to make the top 10, which is absurd. I do believe we keep moving in this direction. But the Hyperlquid is one of many. And the reason I like Perpetual Dexs is I like holding my spot bags. So what I do is, if we take a look at a chart like this, right? Bitcoin or ETH or Sol, not Sol, but something else, right? What I will do is I will have levels to buy Bitcoin. So my next level to buy Bitcoin is $97,000, right? So 97K, I'm buying Bitcoin in spot. However, if Bitcoin goes to the bottom of that range of 92K, then I will buy a piece of it in perpetuals. And I will use one of the many Perpetual Dexs that you see linked down below. And the reason for that is, for me to use perpetuals, I want a way better entry than spot because there is some interest on it. I also have to have very tight invalidation. So where's my stop loss, right? So in this case, my stop loss here potentially will be like 85K, the break of this EMA 50, right? On the perpetuals, right? Spot I can hold a little longer just because there's no interest paid and whatever. And on top of that, you know, if you use perps properly and you're not sitting there using 10x leverage, right? I use like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Sometimes I don't even use leverage. Why? Because I just want to farm those dexes. And by doing these things, I'm able to make a ton of money. Now, you can do a delta neutral strategy. And what that means is you're like, okay, I want to buy Sol, right? So you go, okay, great. Or not Sol. We'll use Sol. Let's look at Ethereum. So you look at Ethereum, you go, okay, I'm going to enter an Ethereum trade here, right now. I'm going to buy 2 ETH long on Hyperlquid. And I'm going to short 2 ETH on another platform. One of those platforms will pay you the funding rate. And on the other platform, you will pay the funding rate. So it sort of balances itself out. And then the changes in price are also balanced out. And then when you close, boom, you're basically delta neutral. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to farm these dexes without the risk. But here's the thing. I use this to make money. So for me, I have an edge, and I'm going to use the Perpetual Dexs not in a delta neutral strategy, but to actually generate money and then the airdrop. So there's a bunch of dexes down below that I think are very good. Hyperlquid, I believe, is still very, very important to prioritize. But then there are others like Ostium and Lighter and Extended that I like. Ostium and Lighter are the two ones that I've heard big whales who were the ones who told me to get into Hyperlquid. They're prioritizing that. But there's a bunch of them down there. I like Backpack as well because Backpack gives you yield on your deposits. Check all that stuff down below. I do have 3 invite codes left for Lighter. I'm very protective of this because a lot of people just ask me for referral codes and then never use them, and then it's a waste. So if you're actually serious and you can show me like your wallet where you've actually done trading, then I will give you one of my 3 remaining codes. If not, you can probably find one on Twitter. They are getting a bit harder because, once again, you need to use the platform a lot to get invite codes, and then I don't want to give them away to somebody who's not going to use it. I'd rather give it to somebody who will, okay? So those are the things I'm farming. Those are like sort of the biggest things, right? One of the things I want you guys to get used to doing is stop trying to do everything. You look online, you look on Twitter, and you're like, oh, I'm missing Katana, I'm missing Newton, I'm missing whatever. Listen, your edge is not doing everything. Yes, you can like fiddle around, do one thing here and one thing there, but you got to actually be dialed in. What are the 3 or 4 things that you're doing that are going to give you the biggest results? Remember, Pareto principle, right? 20% of your results come from 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. So focus on prioritizing and making sure you're optimizing for that. This is why perpetual dexs are very important, because I'm investing in the tokens that I believe in. I am not using perpetual dexs to buy dog shit. I'm using perpetual dexs to buy like Bitcoin or ETH, right? Like Hyperlquid. I'm focusing on the assets that I like to trade. Once you know charts very well, you focus on that. One of the mistakes I see people do is, oh, well, if I buy WIF, if I long WIF, I get more points. Well, WIF is way harder. It can go to zero, right? Dog with a hat or dog with just a hat, right? So if you are feeling the need to farm points only and you don't care about making money, then do use delta neutral, and then you can do that strategy of buying these, terrible tokens. But if you're trying to make money, you're not doing delta neutral, then just focus on the better tokens. Who cares if you get less points? The whole goal here is to make a bunch of money, and then you get some additional stuff on the side. Okay. So then when it comes to my biggest focus really hasn't changed, although I'm not really focusing on virtuals as much, only because it's become very elementary, right? All I'm doing is just yapping at the timeline on some alternate account. Probably going to use a bunch of the other accounts to do that, just because I want to test if there's any cooldown. But that's not really a real focus for me anymore. My biggest focus is and will always be Hyperlquid. I think the Hyperlquid airdrop is massive. You can see here I got like 40K in Hyper EVM. That does not even include what I have in the Hyperlquid core. And I'm going to make a video. Once again, I texted my thumbnail guy to basically, I want to make an update on how to get a good Hyper EVM footprint, using Felix. So you can see here, I'm blending out like 0.11 Bitcoin. I'm letting out some Hyperlquid token. I'm using HyperFi as well, like got 200 Hype token right here. Got HyperSwap, I got some liquidity pools here, right? Got Morpho on the 200 Hype, 100 Hype on Volantis. I even got a thing on Liminal, which is going to help me farm the unit airdrop, which is one of the biggest tokens coming on the Hyper EVM network. So doing this, once again, I'm going to have a video covering all this, but this is priority number one, okay? Priority number two is Abstract. So Abstract, basically, I know a lot of people have tried it. It's kind of fun, whatever. I'm putting more focus in it. There's a theory that I heard that apparently if you've got a bunch of money in here, they will give you more XP. So I'm trying that this week. We'll find out on Tuesday if that actually works. But just doing some trading on here, right? If you're part of the community, you get to see about what memes are popular, what NFTs, and then just play whatever games, right? I know somebody in my I don't know what just happened. The screen just went black for a second. Okay. Somebody in my private Discord, private community, recommended Moody Badness, which I remember from ZK Sync. I play Gigaverse, On-Chain Heroes and whatever. So yeah, just, play around. It's cool. I want to get my live stream up here. The thing is, they're very clicky, the Penguins community and the Abstract community, even though I've got all the assets. So I applied to stream, and I would have streamed this on there if I could have, but it is what it is, you know what I mean? And the final thing is Infinex. So Infinex has this thing called Yap Run. The Yap Run rewards are absolutely insane. There's $6 million coming for this. I just started this recently. It's a very good solution. I've included a guide, by the way. I've included a guide to Abstract, Kaito, which I think is very important, Hyperlquid, right? Infinex. They're all linked down below. Check them out if you haven't already. I do think it's worthwhile getting into Infinex. I'm going to make a video on exactly how to basically rank in the top here. I know you're like, Brown Jet, how can you make a video on this? You're only 538. Yeah, great. I'm 1 week in or whatever. And by the way, I got some really good information on what to do. So I'm going to share that very, very soon with you guys. But you go in here, and I've already covered this. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but you can sort of switch. You can see I use this as an activity protocol, right? So I'm actually sort of sending AVAX here. I swap it for very little fees. I was sort of swing trading Pepe back and forth, right? You can see here, let's see. I bought, $10,100 worth of Pepe. I then sold it for $10,290. Just keep doing it, making money, you know what I'm saying? That's the whole point. You should be doing that over here, and there's a bunch of things. And you can see there's an airdrop tab. So I got some airdrops for Kaito, and I got got $1 for having 1,000 SUSD for like 2 days. These are things you can do. Check out the video guide. I think Infinex is really cool. I'm not telling you guys to put a ton of money on here because it's sort of like centralized, because like, for example, the cloud servers went down a couple days ago and I didn't have access to this. So I'm not saying to put like 10% of your portfolio or whatever, put like 1 or 2%, and just start using it. Start using it like a process. You can send money in and out, whatever. It's really, really cool. So watch the guide. I think you'll like it. And finally, I want to answer your question. So it's been about 40 minutes or 38 minutes. So I'm just going to mute myself, take a quick sip, and then we're going to answer whatever questions you guys have. Okay. We got Cha here. Hey, Cha. Cha wrote a really good tweet the other day. Let me just bring this up. Here we go. I want you guys to see this, by the way. Because a lot of people come to me and complain, oh my God, I got no following. What's the point? InfoFi is a scam. Look at this, man. This guy, December 5th, 2024. No clear direction, no roadmap, no platform. Right? Started yapping. Earned 0.4 yaps in total registered for the Kaito Mint. Genius. Because a lot of us, like, I forgot to register my wallet. Missed out on that gold mine. And basically, like, just started talking, right? Sometimes it feels weird because you're talking into the void, right? And basically built up their Twitter account. 1427 new friends, 61 smart inner circle minds, right? And basically through all of that, built up their community, got a bunch of airdrops at the same time, right? Earned 9,000 S Kaito, right? Got the DeFi DApp airdrop, claimed human airdrop, right? Had 300 followers. Now what do they have? Like 16, right? So this is like very, very big, because a lot of people just go, oh my God, woe is me. I put 0 effort in, but I've got 0 results. People feel so entitled to stuff. Like, if you look at my profile, I got like, what, 4,000 something followers? And like, it's so hard to grow it. And I'm sitting there posting daily. Same thing on YouTube. What, I got like 5 subscribers in the last week. How many videos do I have to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's tough, but you gotta keep doing it. And then put yourself in a position to be lucky, right? Like, I believe this was like retweeted or posted by Kaito as well after, so it's pretty slick. So what do I think about the Kaito price? Let's get into that, okay? So let us go to Gecko Terminal. I'm just gonna bring it up. Okay. So here we are. The Kaito price obviously doesn't look too appealing. Now, personally, I would want to buy in this. This stupid box. I would want to buy in this box right here. So for me, what is this right here? $1.15 to $1.05. So midpoint's like $1.10. So I'm not saying that Kaito is not a good investment, right? But at the same time, you can see what happened here, right? You had some big airdrops, right? You had the human airdrop and everything at the end of May. So what happens? People start going, oh my God, I'm not staking enough Kaito. I want to stake more Kaito. And then we had like the DeFi drop was dog shit. The Skate airdrop was horrible, right? Like a lot of the airdrops have been underwhelming from Kaito. Even like the Infinex one's okay, you got $100, but you can't sell it yet, right? And people don't know about the rewards coming. So what happens is you end up having this situation where people are like, well, maybe I was wrong about Kaito, the market's dipping, oh my God, I need to get out. And that's what we're seeing here. So if you've got no Kaito, then maybe you start buying now. if you've already got some Kaito, I wouldn't buy until $1.10, $1.15 to $1.05 in that range. Okay, that's my thoughts here. And ironically, the NFT is completely worthless, like I have been telling you guys. But hey, it is what it is. Fan man evening, I sent you an email. Yep, I sent you an email back. Don't know if you saw it. I sent it right before the show. So. Wolvenite, Goat, hey man, how you doing? Thank you. Ilias, yo, what's up? Crypto man, baby is the worst in terms of return to points on exchange. Yep. So what ended up happening, right, was they literally like juiced up the points. So remember, most people like blew their load into Iris, and then you just saw this massive influx of points, and it went from like a couple hundred subscribed to like 800 or 900 subscribed. And what happened, and the biggest issue with this was because people sold Iris, and if by the time you sold Iris, you already qualified for the points drop the next day. So what happened here? People were cheating baby like this. It was just out. Okay? So yeah, baby was horrible. It was literally terrible, right? It is what it is. Luna Classic. Hey man, how's it going, buddy? Sexy Sundays. Yeah. I wish that title was like, more crypto related and we could weave it in, but yeah. NW, hey, how are you? Yo, Brown Jet, hey, what's up, man? Can you give an example of what stuff is shared in the premium Discord? So I gave an example in terms of like this analysis, right? Let me find another one just to show you an example. So like, I'm gonna give you another example here. So let's go here. So this is just like, because I don't want to share analysis or any more analysis that I put in there, but like all the stuff is on catalog, right? So you can see here, like when these drops become available, boom, like you literally just get like, there's actually a channel where all this stuff feeds into. So you have like a to-do list and it's like, okay, boom, this thing's up. So you literally don't miss anything. One of the things in our Discord is there's so many channels. So I index everything. So the most important things I tag and they go into this one thing that's called like catch up alpha. And you just literally have to look at one channel to get all of your insight, because it will literally serve as a catalog for the most important things that you need to do or read. If that makes sense. Okay. $70 for a 1 hour call with you sounds like a bargain. Yep. I feel like a lot of people say that. One of the things I always tell people is it's only a bargain for you if you use the time wisely and you actually action on it. There have been some people I've had who've done a call with me and then want to do a call with me the next day. And I'm like, I'll be honest with you. For me, the first call I'll always do with people, but I don't do follow-up calls with people unless there's been a sufficient enough time for them to do what I said to do, right? Because like I said, I don't need the $70. I don't need the money, right? For me, it's like that fee is there to make sure you don't waste my time, right? Last cycle, I used to do this stuff for free, and it just wasn't taken. It was taken for granted. The Discord was taken for granted. I had a bunch of scammers. Whenever I would get on calls to help people, it was just a bunch of bullshit. So I don't do that anymore, right? I learned. So for me, it's basically on a call. I basically, I ask people to sort of submit certain things ahead of time, right? And then when they do that, I follow up with them there, and then I give them a bunch of homework and whatever, and give them some guidance. And I ask them to even email me progress. Just so I know they're doing it. I'd say less than half of them even like email back. I'm like they're like, yeah, I'll do it, and then I never hear anything. So expect the market to crash more, holding pretty good. Yeah, no, exactly. So that is a very good sign, right? Like you'll have these small things, and I do think that we will get the market makers doing one final nuke before this end. It just would make so much sense. But we could also keep going up, which is why it's so important to have your high conviction spot bags and be sitting in there and being like super confident on that. If you're super confident on that, got nothing to worry about, right? You're not shaken out by these small price movements. That's also why everything you can do to sort of set your mind right, which is like getting in at a very good price, right? Like being able, like I said, for Ethereum, you got in at 13 to 1600, the dip from 2800 to 2500, you don't even feel it. We are getting used to this though. Exactly. Haha, exactly. Cool. I said rules. Sounds good. Solid take. The reflexivity here is getting dangerous. Curious how many players actually realize. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you're talking about virtuals, right? The marketing is fantastic. Salana Trenches suck because we are all going to win here. Salana Trenches suck because no one won. Only the people who ran the projects, right? In virtuals, regular people without insider information win. But we're playing a game of chicken. At some point, somebody's going to have a big enough bag that they're like, I'm not giving this back. They sell. And then everybody else gets screwed. I think because of the way yapping points have been adapted, and because they're so abusable right now, right? Like I said, you can create multiple Twitter accounts and just spam endlessly. Like I haven't gotten the 20K point threshold yet, but I got 11K today. And like I'm sitting here going, how is this possible that it's just complete slop and I don't have to invest any more? Like I used to create multiple wallets to stake, and now I'm creating multiple Twitter accounts. And if I see this and I'm going to test these other ones, if I just spend time doing that across the board while I'm watching a movie or something, I can literally get out all those replies and get a bunch of points for no cost at all, then dump all the tokens, right? That's basically the plan. So why would you stake anymore? And then when you don't stake anymore, that sell pressure comes back. So I think there's a lot of people unwinding their positions, and you can use like whale intelligence to actually see like people's wallets and stuff like that, you know, and like what's being unstaked. It should be showing up here. Why is this stupid thing on right now? Yeah, these are small amounts, but you know, let me sort of do the filter. Mint amount 1,000. Right? So you can literally see here what's being unstaked. Oh, it's already unlocked. Oh, look, 1 minute from now, 2 minutes. Like literally people are unstaking. Oh, sorry, this is dollars. I put the wrong one in. Stupid. That's stupid of me. Right? Oh, look at that. Like this is what people will not have you believe or not see. And this is why this tool is amazing. It's free. Right? Literally, look, 9 minutes from now, 1887 becomes available. I can literally go and filter this out by whatever numbers I want. And you can just see how much money people are going to dump. Yeah. Hey, Andrew Cameron. I feel like you always say the same thing. Thumbs up to Canada. At least it's not elbows up or whatever, right? Will virtual be a good short then? Like short, like the token, like shorting it? It's hard to tell. So I did sell my 9,000 virtual that I had at a small loss. I moved into Pepe, so whatever. It was like down 8% from where I bought it. And so was Pepe, like, so I just moved it there and it was easy. For me, it's, remember, man, people are selling tokens, they're selling into virtual. I don't know if they're going to hold virtual or if they're going to sell the virtual back to. I don't know. So it's very hard. I personally would not short virtual because it's a very small cap and it can be easily manipulated. If you're going to short something, short Solana. Not financial advice. It's just Solana is the weakest token that's out there and is a big enough cap that it cannot be manipulated, right? What volume should we be happy with for perp trading on Hyperlquid? My balance on Hyperlquid doesn't show. Yeah, it shouldn't show, and it doesn't matter. Like Hypercore, if you go on the Hyperlquid application, you can see it. You have your you'll only see your spots and your perp USDC, right? But you won't see your actual. So if I go to, all here. Like here, I don't see the staked Hyperlquid tokens I have, but I can see I got 8,000 in spot balance. I got 14,000 in perp balance, right? But you don't see your tokens and whatever. That's whatever. When it comes to perp trading on Hyperlquid, what I would say is there is a component of it that is volume based, but from my recollection, right? So remember, a lot of people didn't farm airdrop 1 or they missed it. Airdrop 1 was highly prioritizing spot holdings, which is why I believe buying and holding Hype in your spot balance is important. You can also hold Per, which is their like number one meme coin on Hyperlquid, right? Hyper, right? It's the cat token. And then finally, perp trading, probably like just, maybe $1 million in volume. But remember, if you watch trade, they were penalizing that in season 1. So don't just open trade, close trade. Try to make money. So what you can do, once again, do what I was saying earlier, which is find entries that are good buying opportunities. 90%, 95% of the time, I want you sitting on your hands doing nothing. You want to wait for the entry to come to you and then jump in. Don't just jump into a trade because you can, because you have money, because then you may be down. You're going, oh, I want to close or whatever. No. Wait for the entry to come to you and then you buy it. Unless you're doing delta neutral, in which case, if you want to farm the volume, then, long to Ethereum on Hyperlquid, short to Ethereum somewhere else. You know what I mean? I hope that helps. Do I think the 4-year cycle is dead? I do. Here's the thing. I think that like the 4-year cycle is not what you see in a mature market, right? Can you imagine the stock market? People are like, oh my God, every 2 years, whatever. No, what we're going to see is Bitcoin is really tied to like empty money supply and sort of liquidity that's out there. So what you should expect to see is you will definitely see a bear market. So when you say maybe we'll have no bear market, that's just foolish. Remember, crypto is now going to be tied in with TradFi. And what that means, right, traditional finance, you got bear markets in traditional finance and you got bull markets. But you have the cycle, which is, okay, everyone is risk on. And in risk on, crypto is fantastic. Risk off is where people start moving to things like Lockheed Martin, right? They start looking to like safe stocks, right? Like in the past, that was banks, or for example, you look at gold, right? Like, are you surprised that the moment that the conflict happened on Friday, Saturday, the gold price suddenly spiked while everything else was like scared? Because that is where money goes for safety. It's just what it is. People are just like, I trust gold. They have this natural, they still believe in it. Remember, the way people think about crypto today is the same way they thought about the stock market when it first came out, right? It was literally the same fear. People are like, oh, that's a scam or whatever. And there's a bunch of scams, a bunch of these penny stocks and crap, and there still is. The same thing with crypto, right? You want the diamonds to come out of it. And Bitcoin is the number one, okay? So I do believe we get a bear market. I don't believe that we have 4-year cycles anymore. I believe we have periods of risk on, periods of risk off. And you're better off selling before the risk off period comes, right? And you have indicators. Like I showed you, the Bitcoin price, look at it in the 50-week EMA, right? If as long as it sort of respects that, it's above it, no worries. B-Gold. Have a small amount of ETH that I withdrew from Swell/Eigen. How long ago was this? Well, like wasn't Swell over like 9 months or a year ago? Same with EigenLayer. Looking for passive income on it, do I recommend anything? So there's a couple things you can do. I made a video on Katana. That one, you lock up the money until July, you get yield and you get some crates and whatever. That's an option. If you are comfortable, with what's it called? If you're comfortable with like just holding it on a platform, then Abstract can be okay, right? Just put your ETH there and earn experience points off that, right? And the experience points will relate to an airdrop in November, December. And you can also, play around with the platform, right? Like there's a lot of free things on there. Like you can play like Gigaverse or whatever for free. It's fine. The Roach game, the Roach racing or whatever. And then finally, you can use my, lend borrow strategy that I talked about a ton. So that's, when you go to Aave, right? And I'll just show you as an example again. I made a video about this, but here's an example, okay? So here, let's look at Arbitrum. So here, I've got like 29 Ethereum here, okay? So 29 Ethereum. I borrowed 27,000, so my held factor is very good, like 2.24. Very hard to get liquidated from here, right? So basically, I use this money to farm things, right? So I use it to basically buy, like, get USDC, put it in perp dexes. I bought some things with it, whatever. So if you find a dip opportunity or whatever, you can do that. So you still have your Ethereum, right? Whether it's 0.1, 1, 5, whatever it may be, you just borrow a fraction of it. I always recommend borrowing less than half, usually about 30%, and use that money like a sort of emergency credit card. I'm only going to use it to buy something that I know is on a severe dip, right? A lot of people do this. And a coaching client that I showed the strategy to, and they put, I think it was $200,000 in Salana at the highs, and I made them immediately get on a follow-up call and sell it. Like, I did the call for free, this follow-up call. I'm like, you're selling all this right now. So just be very careful. Do not put yourself in a bad spot. This is why I'm saying 25 to 35% likely is going to be the sweet spot of how much you want to borrow against the asset value. That way you can withstand a massive 50+% drop in price without being liquidated. And then obviously you buy something that is on a massive discount. Those are the sort of things I would look at. Some NFT collections give a lot of XP. Yeah, you're talking about abstract, probably. I was trading a bunch of those, like Vermilio and stuff. So, like, at the end of the day, you can just follow what the attention's at. But I think holding money on the chain is good too. As I know you didn't get into virtual. I mean, how would I know that? Fan man, like, I think you think I know more about you than I do. I don't. There was nothing risky about virtuals. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm not going to get into details of the email I sent you, but literally, like, I think your idea of risk is something, if you don't understand it and you don't have any idea about it, you think it's risky. I think it's risky to buy a bunch of garbage. And for me, if you watch my blueprint video on virtuals, it literally was how to get into virtuals with the least amount. And right now, literally yapping, you own 0 virtual tokens. You only earn points off tweets. And then, oh, I got to pledge 1 or 2 virtual. Great, I'll buy it off the market right now. Pledge it 30 minutes before the launch. Sell everything, sell the virtual and whatever. Like, literally 0 risk. Anyways, am I still holding Andy on blast? I never had Andy on blast. I have Andy on Ethereum. Andy on blast. I never said to touch that garbage. Like, I don't know where still came from. Like, a lot of people, well, I'll say, oh, I bought Pepe on Ethereum. Oh, but Pepe on Abstract, Pepe on Base is better. Yeah, okay. And then they watch it go to 99%, and they're like, Brown Chen, you told me to buy this. Like, no, I didn't. I said, I don't tell you guys to buy anything, but if you're going to follow what I'm buying, make sure you follow exactly what I'm buying and not some nonsense. And literally, I share my wallet address with you guys. You can see here my Andy position is like $3,300. It's down like 20 or 30% or whatever from where I bought it. But yeah, it's on Ethereum. It's not on Blast. You never want to buy these tokens on their like derivative bullshit chains or whatever, because then you get screwed. It's just another team wanting to take advantage of the name. What are my thoughts on the next phase of virtuals? No idea. Too mistake, my opinion. By the way, what the hell's that hat? Anyways, my opinion on virtuals is literally just focus on yapping about it, and don't put money into it if you don't have to. Like, I literally think it is a ticking time bomb right now. Once they clear all that stuff out, because remember, a lot of people did not touch virtuals the first time, and I saw virtuals go from like 50 cents to like $5 down to 20 or 40 cents or whatever, right? A lot of people came here and they're like, oh my god, virtuals, but they have no idea what happened. They didn't witness the first time. They don't know how many bag holders there are in the ecosystem. This is just a big worry, and I see exactly what's playing out happen this last time. All these other platforms come out and try to do the same thing. So we see Seedify doing it. We see Creator Bid doing this now as well. There are launch pads to do it in another way, because last time they just launched it and people would buy the agents. Now it's like, oh, you gotta have some points or whatever. Same stuff. So you gotta advertise, you gotta yap or whatever. So that's what it is. Any news on Blackwing? No news basically. Like, we were in that for so long. Initial launched, and I don't even think I got an airdrop from Initial for Blackwing. So I took my ETH out of that. Yeah. If there is something, we've already earned enough points, so we're fine. But yeah, it is what it is. Elias, it's more than sharing TBG in the channel. Yeah, that is true. I didn't say this, but one of the things I prioritize is going in there and like, if you have any questions or whatever, all right, let me get to it, right? And also the beauty about this is over time, what has this been like? About 1.5 years of this. People have been also learning and helping others and helping newer people. So it's not just me who's just doing it, but I appreciate the sort of community helping out too. What's my play with Sonic? I sold all of it. Will I claim the rest after the loss? Depends on what price it is. So the moment the Sonic airdrop, like they confirmed their vesting schedule and whatever, I dumped 100% of my Sonic token. I still have like my Swap X NFT, some positions there, whatever, but like maybe like 4 Sonic tokens, right? I sold most of my Sonic token anyway. Prior to that, when it went to $1, once again, Web3 Society, I sent the sell signal then. But the stuff I kept, all gone now, and I will sell my unvested airdrop when it launches. And depending on the price of the token, if the token is already repriced and like already dropped like 30-40%, then I will just hold it for vesting most likely. But if it hasn't repriced, I'm selling. I'm going to take the loss and dump. Also, I think it depends on what the schedule is. I think I only get like 8% of the remaining 75 for selling early. So maybe I don't. I'll have to see. Like it's going to be a game time decision, right? Still no luck on creating an account in Infinite. Yeah, but like what's your issue? Like I think I said to you, have you tried a VPN? I don't think it can be blocked where you are. I'm not going to say what country you are in, obviously for personal reasons, but I think you should just do a VPN or something just to make sure. How about meme coins? Meme coins for what, Alex? Like, what are you asking? I don't even know what that means. That's Don Cherry. Don Cherry. So for those of you who don't know, hockey legend got fired for some nonsense because Canada went too woke. I have no idea how the Liberals won. I'm so happy I'm not there anymore. I would be so disappointed. Whatever. It is what it is, I guess. But yeah, okay. I'm glad to hear it. Got the email. Okay, cool. Sorry, just joining. Any prediction on Katana returns? I think it's going to be more than 10% of your pre-launch deposit. Here's why. So there's a yield in the Yearn vaults and whatever. But I also think it's the amount or the allocation you get of the unclaimed CAT tokens, right? Now, the problem with those returns is they're not realized for like 9 months post mainnet launch. And we have the mainnet of Katana launching in July. So, you put your money aside for like, 4 weeks, 6 weeks max. And then you get that money back with the yield. And then you have to wait 9 months to get the actual yield, which is what I'm going for. I'm going for that long-term vested amount of CAT. I hope that makes sense. Any other questions? I don't know what Alex was saying here about meme coins, but we got through them all, so that's good. If not, I should probably get to bed soon. I need to get this shaved off tomorrow. It's getting too big. No? All right. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching another Sunday Stack. Show that love. If you've been here, post down below what you liked. Post what topics you want to hear about next time. Because, literally, I just talk about what I want to talk about. But if you guys have something you want to hear about, post in the comments below. Let me know feedback. You like it, you hate it, whatever it may be. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button on X, on YouTube, share the video, subscribe, follow, do all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And hopefully the market does not nuke tomorrow, but in fact, hopefully it pumps. So let's pray for that. Hopefully our bags are doing fantastic. Have a good night.